It was going to guys down coming to you for Pinku Style. Sunny March 9th. We're going to get this kicked off real quick. Want to have a guest in here, but I wasn't able to arrange things, so I'm going to go ahead and go solo today. And for the guys out there, I know I've had a couple of guests the last couple ones, but I'll be doing guests here and there. Not every episode will be guests, but today I was trying to figure out what I want to talk about, and was just thinking about recently what questions I was asked in my mailbox. One of my customers, Ashley Hahn, she just PCS from Masawa not too long ago, which for guys who are not military means she left and went to another base. She randomly hit me up, and she was just like, hey, how do you get started in pro sports? And it was like kind of took me back a little bit because it's a big loaded question. And most guys who have been into motorsports know, man, people tell you it's a rich guy sport. Other than, the competition aspect of it, it's you got to, people are automatically going to assume you got to have the sponsor things and all that stuff. That's like way, if you're just getting started, you shouldn't be thinking about sponsors. That's like way off the table right now. So what you got to do is just get seat time in a nutshell. So basically what I told her, and again, it's a loaded question. She was more concerned. This is not about drifting. That's a whole different stratosphere. So she was talking more about professional grip driving. Biggest thing I told her is you just gotta get seat time. The way I started out was autocross, and I don't have I don't have a professional grip license under anybody yet. I'll work on that. Not that I can't obtain it. I just been kind of focused on drifting. Got those pro license now. I'm actually going to be focused more on grip, like I was talking to a lot of you guys before. So I'll be doing the, I did autocross. I did, some scuba track time days, and I'll be getting into the things and working my way up to the point where I could get to a situation where I can get the pro license or whatever, which is pretty much your time. You're racing against the clock, and then all it is in a nutshell. Again, I tell everybody, don't kill yourself or ruin your life to get a piece of plastic that says you can drive with these guys. Because guess what? When you get those pro licenses to drive with Tsukuba or Fuji, you still can't do F1. You still can't go and hop in NASCAR. So, those are considered the pinnacles, WRC and stuff like that. So, again, it's just a piece of plastic. Even that, it's a piece of plastic or a lanyard that says you're a NASCAR driver, you're an F1 driver, but they went through the ranks, and most guys start at karting. So for her, I told her, initially, just straight at the top, from my experience, and everything I give out here is always going to be from my experience only, not talking about theory. I'm talking about the things I've done, the road I've taken to get to the level I am of driving and drifting and stuff like that. Pretty much nutshell seat time. So I started out with, autocross, SCCA. I was in the WDC region, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't start it soon enough. I started kind of late towards the time I was leaving Japan in 2007, I believe, 2006, 2007, and then 2008 I left for Japan. Came to Japan August 1st, 2008. So I got right into it. I did some nasty events, and then pretty much I did a bunch of events, like $40. I did like 2 events in a day, and I was like, dude, I could have had, like, the drifting was like, you paid $250. It was still really in the infancy back then, even in 2006, and you paid $250 for this little bit of seat time. And autocross, you pay $40, and then you get like the hot laps and everything. And it was like more. I got my drifting skills went up as a result of aiming a car autocross, because everybody, most young guys. And even, I remember being in my group of car guys, they would say like, hey man, we're all badass drivers. Now looking back at it, some guys were better than other guys, but I was pretty much the only guy that went towards the track. Myself, James Felix, a few other guys did the track stuff and took it away from the streets, drag racing, whatever. And yeah, man, it's kind of, when you're in your group of guys, in your small circle, you guys will tell yourselves or hype yourselves up that you're really good drivers. But when you get on the track, you get around other people who are really driving. They've been doing it for a long time. They really show you how much you don't know. So I learned the short amount. I learned the great amount of stuff in a short amount of time. One of my guys, Brian Garfield, shout out to him. He was my first teacher of anything for automotive guys. And the Garfield family, the Julian and all those guys, man. Julian, when I was there, Julian was like maybe 8 years old or 9 years old. Now the dude's like sponsored, like national ranked, and I haven't kept up with Julian Garfield, but that dude's like badass behind the wheel. Has been his Brian's dad and everybody, the Minis and the Miatas. They've been killing it for a long time. And I took, in a short amount of time, man, I took a lot of knowledge from Brian Garfield. And Brian, if you're out there listening to this podcast, man, definitely thanks for all the tips and the talking to you over the years, man. I hope everything's going good there. And I definitely look forward to running with you, man, and showing you the new skills I've obtained over the years, man. But anyway, I got linked up. My guy is Brian Garfield. There's many good teachers out there. SCCA, NASA, and there's a few other organizations out there that are really good with autocross. And again, that's what I recommend starting. So again, step one is starting with autocross. You got the local, regional, then you got your karting, you got the open wheel, depending on the level. Then they have the time attack, they got the hot lap sessions. You go on the SCCA page, which I'll pull up for you right here, scca.org. You just go to this website. It's pretty good, pretty easy to navigate, and you pretty much go there. So pretty much, you read the thing, you can read about how SCCA kind of how they are arranged, and then find your fun is just pretty much finding your location. SCCA, from what I know, is pretty much a stateside thing. So here it tells you all these games right here: SCCA Road Rally, SCCA Solo Rally Cross, SCCA Time Trials, etc., etc., etc. So those are pretty much the places you can get in. So just check out this website, go through it yourself. You got right here the members benefits program. You can click on all that stuff, and then when you're ready, once you read through everything and you're ready to join, just go ahead and sign up. So the cool thing is, once you navigate through this course, pretty much SCCA is nationwide. And the cool thing about it, if there happens to not be, which at this point, 2019, I'm pretty sure there's an SCCA chapter in every state, at least one chapter. If your state or city or whatever town doesn't have a chapter, you can definitely get that started up. I mean, it'll take a little bit. SCCA will work with you, as far as I know. Again, my region was Washington, D.C. region, and but that didn't stop me from, like, if you wanted to go to Virginia or go to wherever. Well, most of the guys that come from the Mid-Atlantic region, they kind of would congregate. So FedEx Field was pretty big and everything right there. So I pull up this video right here. You kind of can see me running around back in the day with my 240 here. And this video, so I got a ton of autocross videos on there from back in the day and everything. So I was still full up drifting at drift mode, but they were kind of like worried about am I going to go drift at the course and all this other crazy stuff. But I didn't do that. I mean, I kind of went out there and did my thing, and it was nice. The car had some issues, but again, it didn't stop me there. There's a Garfield's right there. So this right here was a as you can see on a far side, other side of the street, that lot was where the main autocross would be at. This was a smaller lot, and we used this for a school course. So they had us go through the course, and then the instructor would go in there with us, tell us what we're doing wrong, drive with us, and then they were scared as hell to drive my car because the brake master was it was broken to the point where it felt like it was no brake boosting assistance from the air. The clutch was, it was kind of grabby. The car was not set up at all. As you can see right there, it's kind of loose. The car was not set up at all for any kind of autocrossing and everything. I just took it out there anyway. But anyway, everything went pretty good out there. Had a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. Again, I highly recommend starting autocross. You don't have to have a lot of stuff to get started, and that's the big thing I see is people, again, I kind of bring this up again in all facets, just getting started. For years, I was like, oh, man, I got to have this, I got to have that, I got to have this. I did when I pull up to the thing. My car wasn't, being a drift car, being a street car, it was kind of banged up. So, for example, I failed my very first tech session because I got there and they checked everything. They checked your ball joints. They checked everything for play because they're liable for the insurance. They got to make sure everybody's good to go, everybody's safe. So, for that reason, they got to make sure your car is not going to go off the course, cream into anybody and cause any damage and stuff like that. So they will check that, and I failed mine. Ball joint was busted, the boot was busted. It was a lot of play. Luckily, there was an AutoZone for FedEx Field. There was an AutoZone right around the corner, about 5 minutes. And they were like, oh, man, you're done. But they didn't know the drifter. For autocross guys, maybe they would have been done. They don't got that spirit of most guys don't. Drifters will crash and, get everything done and get back out there. So I was like, hey, I'll be right back. And so I missed my first heat. And then I went there and got the tie rod, swapped it out, did alignment on the track, came back. And I was in the E-mod class, which is EM, because I had a KT turbo. So it took me out of stock. We had a stock class. So I remember that one event, not the school one you just seen right there, that one event, what was it, man? I had there was a Lotus Esprit. There was a Lotus Esprit and then my 240 in the same class. So they split it up into times. How I don't know how autocross is weird. So anyway, there was a morning heat and an afternoon heat. So morning session I missed because I missed my tech inspection. So after that was over, they had another tech inspection. I fixed everything up. They came back. They were shocked. I fixed it, tightened it up. The alignment was good. So they were like, hey, everything's good to go. I was like, yeah. So he won the first heat, and then he had mechanical issues, and then he couldn't make the second heat. So I actually won the second heat. So I got a first place deal and some. It was a Yokohama tire challenge. So it was kind of a lame first place because it was only me. And then for him, it was only him in the morning session, so there was no competition. But, I mean, honestly, even if I did run, that Lotus Esprit was much faster than my car, whatever time I run. So that was pretty cool there. And again, the SCCA and all the other guys, they'll grip you. So your car can be bone stock. As long as your car has decent tires, decent brakes, which, I mean, this can be standard brakes because you're not doing anything super high speed. As long as your car is mechanically sound, they will let you on the track. I mean, there's stock class. There's you can look at the website because I can't remember it all off the top. It's been a while, but there's a lot of different classes. I just know mine was E-Mod because I ordered my stickers and everything. It had E-Mod stickers and stuff like that. But there's classes, and it kind of goes based off of the I guess the honor system because you can say your car is stock, but internally you can have high compression and crap like that. And I mean, it's up to the driver. They're not gonna look inside your engine, but these guys are not stupid, and they can see clearly what a stock Civic EG hatch runs with a D16, D15, whatever. And even if the engine is hopped up, they know that car. I mean, maybe you're an awesome driver, but they can hear the sounds. They know those guys know. So what happened? You'll get approached. Some people can petition and say you don't belong here because when it gets down to like the point part of it. Those points are valid towards like going from the local to the regional to the national level. And if you got some guy in there cheating, they're gonna definitely get at you. So that's just some of the stuff with autocross to get started. Once you get you start ranking up, getting points, and you're consistently fast. From that point, you rank up further. Then you go to the next level. You win there. You rank up. You go to the next level. You win there, and you do more stuff. So there's a bunch of tiers in it. Again, I don't know all of them because I didn't go through that process. I just know the start is something like SCCA, getting with those guys, and then from that point, when you get in with those guys that are doing it all the time, again like the Brian Garfields, those guys who they've been to regional level themselves, they won events, they know people. If you say, hey, I really want to do this, I want to do pro grip or whatever on a pro level, after they say, hey, well, first you got to prove yourself on this level. Once you prove yourself on this level, you rank up, and then once they see that you're really about what you're talking about, then they'll really make those phone calls and put you in contact and maybe get you a trial with some team or some stuff like that. But again, that's just in theory how it would go and does go for the guys who make it. But again, it's a money sport. And even if you got a ton of sponsors, you're still spending money. Unless there's a few guys out there that get those 4 rides and they don't last forever. They go away, and then when they go away, you never see that guy again. And I know a few guys who were doing it well for a while, drifting and grip level. And then when those sponsors went away and those meal tickets went away, they were kind of screwed, man. They had to find different ways to do things, and they had to find different ways to get the car there. Then they couldn't afford to get the car from California over to Texas, or Texas up to Maine for this event, or even in Canada or whatever. So the thing about that, I tell everybody, just like I said before, be your own sponsor. The sponsor thing is so saturated now that it's not the same as it was. I mean, everybody can be sponsored. Even me, I toned it down. I released. Well, I never actually. With my sponsors, I told you guys before, the sponsor deal. If you don't sign a contract, it's not a sponsor. I talked about that on my sponsor video. If you guys want to see that, just search for that Pinku style sponsor or whatever. Just search for it. And the thing, like I said, if the company is not serious enough to put you down on paper that, hey, I'm sponsoring Donald Jackson for this set, my obligations are to do this as a driver, the company obligations are to do this as a company. If they don't do that, it's not a sponsor. It's pretty much it's a way to advertise. And so what they'll do, hey, I'll give you 10% off or whatever. You put this big sticker on your car, and every time you get a part from me, you post up on Instagram and Facebook and all this other crap and whatever. And it honestly, people are gonna buy what they want to buy. And then in the real world, people are going to go towards those who winning championships. So I mean, even if you're putting that sponsor down, if you're not putting out any results, it's like, okay, what are you promoting? What are you putting out there? So again, that's, getting started is just getting to the venue. But once you start getting up there, people, if you drive well, people are going to come to you. And that's the best way to do it for that. Once you get the SCCA, you start ranking up, you start winning. Don't, assume automatically that you can just email the company like, hey, I won this event, regional, blah, 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 because they like, okay, regional, you're in that one area. You're not national-wide champion or something like that. You're not really going to be able to promote that business to an audience that needs that stuff promoted too. So just being a good driver, there's a lot of good drivers out there. I mean, there's 1,000 people that do what you do. So what sets you apart from those other 1,000 guys? You know what I mean? A commitment. What can you do? I mean, are you a self-mechanic, you got your own business? Things like that will set you apart from different guys. You know what I mean? For me, I took a break off for a little while when I was racing and doing stuff before. I was doing it, I was still working a daily working job. So now if I go and approach some of those companies that I approached before, now with the Pinku style and I'm a pro drifter and all this other crap now, and I've seen it, I've tested it, and it does work, man. Like, they'll email back very fast. Like, oh, yeah, let's do business, because they know I'm a business. They know I got more, besides the racing part, I got customers, and I could push those parts or whatever I'm sponsored for. I could push those parts to customers. So there's a two-way street, and that's how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be two ways. If you're only on the receiving end, you're not really putting out. It's not so much about winning. Winning is great, but in a nutshell, it's just getting the parts out there, doing well, displaying the parts well. Your car holds together. That stuff kind of factors in right there. So again, when you're building a car or whatever for those events, you don't want to have like a really, really nice turbo and then everything else around it be like, lesser or whatever, because you're not gonna be able to promote those parts the best. You're not gonna be able to promote that sponsor the best. So it's not gonna work. So again, this quickly. Wanted to go over that, to get started and everything. SCCA.org, NASA is another one you could check out. And then in between that, you got like my AutoX events. This is a group that you can go to, like I believe it was called my AutoX. If you Google that, my AutoX, I'll find it and confirm it and put it in the link down there. But what this group did, what I got on, Brian Garfield got me on that too. Actually my boy, not Brian, but my buddy Edwin Liu. He sent me that, and what you do is you go in there. It pretty much compiles all of the all SCCA, NASA, anybody that has an organization. It compiles all of the events into one website. You pretty much find your region. Like Maryland was mine. I was in like Maryland, Columbia area, Glen Burnie, whatever. It compiles all of those events, and then what you can do is select from it. You can register there. So instead of going to all these different places and orgs and talking to all these guys, it centralizes all information so that you can register easily and get to the track. So again, if you play your cards right, what you can do is you can actually get to, you can do like maybe not 4, but you can do about 3 events if it's an early time, mid, and a later time, and they're close together. Like I did the FedEx event, and then I went down to I forgot the damn name of the town, man, but it was about 25, 30 minutes away. We hopped on the highway, me and a group of other guys got there. We got there right as they were starting to stage up for the inspections. Got the inspection done, got our numbers lined up, and then we did our thing, man. So that was like a whole day of, by the time we got done, the sun was going down and everything. So it was pretty cool. And again, between gas, because there's no tolls, between fuel and the entry, I think $45 for the SCCA one, and then it was like $35 or something for that one. So overall, the full day with fuel and entry fees, not to account for food and stuff like that, but it was maybe under $100. You know what I mean? So you can get a bunch of seat time, meet guys, talk about setups. It's a really cool environment. For me, that's the best, man. The whole, I have nothing against static, but again, I just do not care about car shows. I'm sorry, man. So any of you guys ask me to go to car shows, it's going to be a hot no. I'm not going to sit in the lot, man, when I can go to a track event on that same day, race my car, and then park it, and then talk about what we just did, and then go back out and race. That's just my deal. I can't waste my time sitting in a parking lot with a bunch of stuck-up jerks, man, talking about what I'm going to do and what you've done, and I just don't care, because the thing about it, It's all those parts you got right there. They're not in motion. So you can have all that badass shit you want, and I guarantee you there's still a break, just like all other stuff when you put it on the track. So it doesn't matter, man. That's just my thing. I'm sorry. So any of you car show guys out there, buddies or whatever, I'm sorry, man. Not my thing. So you'll go without me every time because I will never go. Just between my shop, my stuff I got working on, I just can't sit in the parking lot. So just beat that up a little bit. But anyway, let me see how much time I got. Actually, like these are a little bit short. So I mean, the podcast will go from between being short right now about 20 minutes or so, and I got to get out of here and do some other stuff as always on a run. But just wrapping it up to go back over what I talked about again. This wasn't a be all end all be all. It's just I didn't really have nothing to talk about. Well, I have a lot to talk about, but I just want to answer Ashley's question. So Ashley, just check this out. What I said in the text was the same thing. But again, you got to start from somewhere. You just got to get out there. So all these guys, man, one message I would say, if you're making a car, your car is never going to be ready. I'll say again, your car is never going to be finished. I mean, there's a point where it's finished to the point where it's safe. But if you're modifying a car, when people say, oh, my car is finished, my car is done, I'm like, dude, you're not really into it because the car is never done. It can always be improved upon, and to the point where you're physically out. You're just foot pedal to the metal. You're just driving the hell out of the car, and there's no more room for growth without any mods and stuff like that. So until you get to that point, your car is not finished. And if you're trying to race to that level where you want to better yourself, there's always going to be little things you could change, suspension settings. Nothing's never final. Nothing's never solid. So when you're building a car, never build a car and block yourself into like this is it. No more changes. So when you build this car, you got to really, before you start buying all these parts and all these websites, we all want to sell parts. It's cool when people buy from us, but what I'm going to tell my customer too, outside of the money aspect is how those parts going to gel together. What are you trying to do? What's your end goal? And what are you trying to get to like further down the line? So you got to think about all that stuff when you're buying parts. If you say like, hey, you got a 350Z, you got the VQ or whatever, VQ35, and you wanna go turbo supercharged later. So hey, if you know in your heart you want to be turbo, you want a turbo supercharger VQ after you build it or whatever, so you don't blow the block out. You gotta don't buy a bunch of NA parts. If you know you eyeing this turbo kit that I'm not gonna go on that part. That's a whole different subject. You eyeing this turbo kit that's this much money or whatever. Don't go and spend all this money on NA parts, NA headers, NA stuff that's not going to really help you when you take that stuff off, and then unless you sell it, but still is a waste of money. So just keep it where it is. Go get seat time, because again, the amount of parts that you have is not going to make it. The amount of parts that you have is not going to make your time go up, because you can have a shit ton of parts and still be a crappy driver doing the wrong thing. Missing apexes, engaging apexes too soon, over braking, over speeding, all this stuff like that I've done in the past. And then he's like, hey man, you suck, don't do that. So I had a guy tell me, don't do that. And then, which was Brian Garfield, like, hey man, you either on the brakes or you're on the fuel or on the gas. There's no half gas, there's no half brake, because when you're doing that, you're wasting time and you're unsure about what you're doing. And it's going to happen with autocross. You walk the course. And as you do it, you'll get fat, you'll get quicker. So that those cones, the cool thing about that is, those settings, as far as I know, the layouts were made like the day of or the week of, and nobody's seen it until they got there. You do your course walk and then you go on the track. Unlike when you go to, like, say you go to Tsukuba or you go to one of the fixed circuits, they allow you to walk the track. Tsukuba's going to be Tsukuba, the main track or whatever, Tsukuba 2000, unless they make the, the inland or whatever. It's going to be the same track, so it's not going to change or erode unless, over Fuji it changed over the years, but that's a different thing. But autocross, what it'll do is it'll help you to aim, it'll help you to steer the car, it'll help you make decisions quicker, because you got the SIA cones, and then everybody's missed gates. Everybody's missed a lot of different things out there, so it's going to happen. So when you go out there, you roll over a cone, it gets stuck up in your fender and all that stuff like that. It just happens. You back up and be embarrassed about it, go back out there. Nobody really cares. So the guys who got the pretty sports cars, you'll see guys using painter's tape and things like that to prevent the rock chips. Some guys also have a different bumper they put on the front bumper, because you got to have all your stuff on there. they'll use a different front bumper for that event. They'll put it on and take it off when they get home and put their nice bumper on to drive around, because you will get pickup rock chips. Your wheels will get rock chips. So we have a different set of wheels for that event. You can swap out, use those wheels, and then you can take those off and drive home on them if you're really at that level. If you're just starting, you just need a good set of tires, good set of wheels. Spacers, you can use spacers, and tell them you can use spacers as long as they're lug and hub centric. If they're not lug or hub centric, do not use those crappy spacers, man. You will have a lot of vibrations. In a nutshell, you want to kind of try to get wheels that fit the car. There's a lot of options now these days, so don't go and buy crappy wheels. But spacers are not bad. Just lug and hub centric. Remember that. H&R is like a good company. Don't buy no China crap, man, because that stuff will have your day ruined. And the same thing for wheels. Don't cheap out on wheels, because you autocross is still going fast enough to go over a gyration or bumps and everything, and pretty much crack the wheels and explode. Now you got other damage going on, cracked oil pan, cracked block, different stuff like that you don't want. So just be cognizant of that, and just have fun and get it done. So again, if you guys got any other questions, go ahead and send them to my inbox. And what I'll do is on these days like this, where I can get like a good 25, 30 minutes in, because all the podcasts are not going to be an hour. So these, I would call these more like shorts to get everything out there. The more longer ones will be like when there's, more guests, because again, I'm not, I can't sit here and talk for like an hour by myself. It makes my head hurt. Actually, right now, it's starting to hurt already. It's kind of like freestyling for those guys that rap or whatever. You're just off the top. So nothing's planned here. I didn't plan anything out. As soon as I turned the camera on, I just thought about what I'm going to talk about, and then I just went at it. So that was it. So again, if you got any particular subjects you want to discussed, if I have the knowledge on it, I'm knowledgeable in a lot of things when it comes to racing, building cars, maintaining them, and things like that. But if I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to sit here and spew out a bunch of BS to you that I haven't done, that I don't know about. So again, everything on this podcast that I put out there from my mouth to you guys is always going to be from firsthand experience, tried and tested methods, and things that don't work. What you don't see me doing is a lot of times, back in the day, people like to share when they break stuff. I'm like, dude, when you break stuff, just get it fixed and move on, man. People, you'll get into the thing, well, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why is it broken? Blah, blah, blah. None of their business, man. Your car broke. It's part of the game. Fix it and move on and get it done. Post it on social media about your breaks and all that stuff. It's just going to invite drama in and invite you. I mean, for a person like me, too, when I got some dude who I know ain't doing nothing, telling me what I should be doing, like, dude, whatever, man, screw off. Like, you ain't doing nothing, man. You people like that are those same people that will always say, my car ain't ready, my car ain't this. Your car is never going to be ready. You're never going to go to the track. You're never going to get better because you're just simply afraid. So don't fake like you're going to race. Just be a car show guy or a stance guy. You know what I mean? It ain't for everybody. Racing takes heart. Racing, drifting, anything like that takes heart. It takes heart to push past a barrier when you crash, things like that. So that could be the next topic. This your mental and physical shape for racing. As you can see, you don't see any obese F1 guys. The NASCAR guys kind of can get a little bit chubby, but still they're in good shape to go around that track those many miles. A lot of G-forces, a lot of dehydration. You lose about 10 to 20 pounds, some guys per race. So if you're not physically in shape, that's one place I would recommend starting. It's just getting in shape, making sure your body is good to go, and all that good stuff. So again, like I was saying, SCCAA.org. Go ahead and check this site out and make sure everything's good to go. It's running a little bit slow right here, but yeah, check out SCCA.org for the stuff. Sports Car Club of America, and I think they have a few places that are like international. So just check it out, and it'll tell you everything you guys see right there. So again, thank you guys for this quick podcast. Not even, I think, 30 minutes. But again, I'll try to get as many as these I can, because again, I'm not really shooting the videos too tough anymore. And yeah, so again, send those questions to check out the Facebook page. I'll put a link down there, the Pinku Style Podcast on Facebook, and then you can throw it's better to throw the questions there. Facebook, YouTube, I don't really go through the messages there, other than if you put them in the comments. But I don't like the YouTube message box too much. So anyway, please go to the Facebook page if you haven't already. Do subscribe and all that stuff to stay up to date. Click the little bell so you get the notifications, and then also go to the Facebook page so you can see like that, future guests and future maybe giveaways and stuff like that that you will win there, stuff like that. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's going to be Donald signing off from Asawa, Japan, Pinku Style Garage. I'll see you guys later. Have a nice day.